Now, something that really struck me about the message that I received from the miner was how this person specifically said that they didn't want to lie to their parents because they didn't want to pretend to be Christian, and then said, and I quote, "I don't want any Christianity in my religion because it's such a mainstream religion." And that made me sad. Um, I understand that Christianity has really hurt a lot of people. There are pagans who really shy away from it, who want nothing to do with it. I can kind of understand that. But when you're so young, it's one of those things where I want to ask you, are you interested in paganism because of the religious aspects of being able to commit to whatever festivals you might be into practicing? I don't know if you're specifically interested in Wicca or Druidry or heathenism or Asatru or Reconstructionism or Kemetic Orthodoxy. I don't really know what you're interested in. I can only speak from a really kind of a Wicca flavored point of view. Um, or I mean, even the Druids. Like I know probably more about Wicca and Druidry than I do about anything else. So that's from my perspective. Even though I consider myself definitely more on the Wicca side. Like I would call myself maybe a Wiccan with my own personal practice. Um, are you going to be able to commit to, if you're practicing that side, 8 Sabbats a year and the 13 Esbats or full moon rituals? Um, if you're even into that at all. Do you even know what aspects of paganism you are interested? Um, and do you understand that with a lot of paganism, um, even though you can be monotheistic, polytheistic, you can even be a witch and be atheist. Um, but are you aware that taking on a pagan path means that you're going to be doing a lot of soul searching? You're going to find stuff that is fantastic about yourself, and you're going to find stuff that's really dark about yourself that maybe you don't want to see. You're going to learn things that might scare you. Um, there's a lot of depth to paganism, and when you're new, sometimes you don't understand that. I mean, I don't mean to be condescending, but that sentence, to me, just sounded like you were into paganism because you wanted to rebel. You hated Christianity. You want nothing to do with it. Um, rebel, rebel, rebel. And that you maybe aren't getting into paganism for the right reasons. Now, that's just from that one sentence and from some of the other things. I might not be correct on that. Please don't take offense to it. But you have to understand that a lot of people come to paganism for, ooh, I want to do spells. Ooh, I want to do magic. Ooh, I want to do all these cool things with herbs and divination and blah, 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 blah. And I want the tools. I want to do magic. And that's only part of it. That's even if you're into the whole magic side of it. Um, what you kind of have to understand is that Christianity is not all bad, and that a lot of witches and a lot of pagans actually have their own personal paths. You have people who study traditional Wicca, who call themselves Wiccan, who have studied with a coven, so they're like a British traditional witch. But then they also have their own personal practices. It's something that took me. I only learned this recently, really. I mean, I've been struggling a lot with myself and my personal path. And you have to understand that different people have different practices. And some people call that eclectic, and some people just say, that's my personal faith. Technically, I guess I consider Christianity part of my personal practice. Because you know what? It's the way I was raised, and even though I do not feel right to call myself a Christian at all, there are definitely Christian aspects of my personal practice. For example, I wasn't raised Catholic, so I never used the whole rosary bead thing. I do love the idea of pagan prayer beads, and I don't have any yet, but I really want to get them. And I'll never forget going to a Samhain ritual, where part of the activities overnight was to pray to the Santa Muerte. And basically, she's worshipped almost like a Christian saint or Christian god. Like basically, she's worshipped kind of like the Virgin Mary almost. So there was like a bunch of there was like 6 women in a room, including the person who was heading it, and we were reciting the rosary to the Santa Muerte. Because that's the way that she likes to be worshipped. And we all found it interesting how there weren't a lot of people in the room. Because people really shy away from Christianity. I don't know, to me that's sad because read up on Jesus' teachings. Because a lot of what he actually taught, you might agree with. A lot of it I agree with. It's just that when it comes to the whole one God thing, I can't do the Abrahamic God. But when it comes to do unto others as you would like to be done to you, things like that, being a good Samaritan, helping people who are in need, not judging people because they are different from you or have less money than you. These are all good things that he taught that I think all of us really need to pay attention to, especially in these times, to be quite honest. And that might actually help you when you're confronting your parents about not wanting to be a Christian. Saying, hey, look, I agree with these parts, but I don't agree with this, and this is what pulls me. And they might even like that you have gone over this so much, that you have actually looked into Jesus, and they might still think you're, I don't know, redeemable or whatever. But, I guess the point of this video is just to say everybody has their own personal practice, and don't just throw away Christianity just because you were brought up in it and because there are certain things that you disagree with. Especially if there are things that you disagree with because of fundamentalist Christians, because they are a scary bunch of folks. Yeah, you might find that your path becomes very traditional. You might find that your path has one name, but many different little branches and twigs to it, and you might find that maybe you just pull from a whole lot of sources. So I wouldn't just disregard it off the bat. Yeah, that's really all I had to say about that. So good luck with everything. And yeah, I hope you I really do wish you well on finding your path, because it's hard to begin a new path. It's hard to begin a new path when you don't have a family that really understands it, and it's really hard to start a new path when you totally think you're doing something right and you're not. It's a mix of things. So good luck and many blessings.